All right, so that was the end of the Martin Luther King speech. We're now going to go back into the publication entitled "What Would Martin Luther King Jr. Do?" And we're going to start by asking this question: who will be our Joshua? So I'm going to start with a quote that he mentioned in the speech. Um, he says, Moses might not get to see Canaan, but his children will see it. He even got to the mountaintop enough to see it, and that assured him that it was coming. But the beauty of the thing is that there's always a Joshua to take up his work and to take the children on in. Oh, what exceedingly marvelous things God has in store for us. Grant that we will follow him enough to gain them. Oh, our gracious Lord, Heavenly Father, help us to see the insights that come from this new nation, the day when all men will recognize the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. The overall purpose of the series entitled What Would Martin Luther King or What Would Malcolm X Do is to inspire our generational Joshua, or as the truth has been revealed to me, Joshua's, because it won't be done just through one person. These are the days of advancing materialism. Unfortunately, man must go back to move forward. Man must also look back or reference to look ahead. Thusly, we'll start our synthesis from the end of the speech and go back to the beginning. Similarly, we will extract from our beautiful African mystery or our history system to set the tone for planning our future. Far be it from me in these times that a man could singularly or is singularly capable of fulfilling the work like that described of Joshua in the Bible. Therefore, Joshua's or collective group must be organized for this purpose. The great prophet Moses alone did not lead the Israelites to the promised land. He was aided by Aaron and those of less noteworthy mention who among the Israelites followed Moses and didn't ask why. We must form a practical conclusion and resolution based on the meaning of the above quote in terms of how to apply it in our situation today. Freedom and liberation are the rights of all, and they are protected by the Creator, as well as the people themselves. Granted, we follow the Father, as he mentioned in the quote. In going back, we must be aware of a reoccurring theme throughout the Bible and really all religious texts. Follow the religion of your forefathers and not your enslavers. If you do not, let the curse of enslavement shall visit you even after your freedom. As it was mentioned in the introduction, freedom must update as the beneficiaries of the past generation's struggles, life experience actually improves. As a diaspora, there is much to celebrate. The wise know the reality of the true self. The true self of which I speak is the spiritual body that exists within our physical body. So I pose the question to Martin Luther King Jr. if he were here. What do you think of the freedom that we've acquired now in terms of the enslaving qualities of our own desires? Does our seemingly endless pursuit of so-called valuables and our vices have the same bonding effect as that of our former oppressors? And what would you do to correct this spiritual imbalance that leads to our psychoeconomic imbalance among those who think they are actually free? Emphatically, I know that Dr. King would be disheartened, if not perplexed, by our spiritual de-evolution. We have willfully exchanged iron chains on our hands and feet for gold and platinum chains on our hands, feet, and neck. We have exchanged the love of ourselves as a people and truly higher selves for finite material objects, and even our oppressors themselves. With the nuances of reality, let's be very clear as the path of resolution. We must Africanize or spiritually evolve our relationship with the Creator, ourselves socially, and our higher selves emotionally. Again, I ask the question, who will be the Joshua for our times in this matter? Let's discuss our emotional transformation. Without going too deep into the metaphysical explanation of our higher selves, let us begin here. Who or what do you worship? Most people would say the prophets or the God of our respective religions, but how many work for Jesus Incorporated or drive a BMW made by Muhammad to the job? How many get a second job to purchase that Allah or Jehovah that you feel like you must have? One can tell a tree by the fruit that it bears, the same way one can determine what one worships by the time it's spent in their activities. The truth is that we are slaves to our material desires. Can you imagine yourself without a job, a car, your weave, a chain, or an item, and still actually be happy if all you have is God? Most could not. However, in all of the divinely inspired books, this is actually the ultimate goal: the freedom of your higher selves from your lower selves, and the alleviation of the tug of the endless passions that lead you astray from the path of truth, love, and brotherhood. Dr. King would surely agree that our definition of freedom must be redirected spiritually, for we still worship idols and not the God of our fathers. We have an emotional attachment to falsehood, vanity, and products, most of which we don't make or are not from our own thought processes. We are setting ourselves up for both spiritual and economic enslavement that comes from not being a producer, but merely a consumer of foreign goods and ideals. But before we move into the resolution, let us define our higher selves and our lower selves.